Work.
No,
The
who've been working their butts off for the
these
last
Ol-
year and a half.
these Olympians, their whole lives to get to this point.
Jeez.
Gosh, can you imagine being in the Olympics? Like, there's like 13-year-olds in the Olympics right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How? I thought you had to be at least 16 by law.
Just the best of the best.
I think there's like a
The Olympic
13-year-old.
Committee, yeah, so I don't know about if they've changed it, but I remember that because like when Davis, I think, or Douglas, when she was doing her thing, she was 15, but she was turning 16 by the end of the Olympics, so they let her in.
You gotta be like 16. Okay, hold on.
Well, they look 13, okay?
Right? They look young. That's good, right?
Well, okay, so riddle me this. So some of the youngest athletes in history, this is a Forbes article. They're not even old enough, but they're already breaking records. Tokyo's youngest competitor was 12 years Syrian table tennis prodigy who exited the game Saturday after losing. And then the second youngest Tokyo Olympian is a 12-year-old, a Japanese skateboarder who's the youngest athlete to ever represent the country in the Summer Games.
There may be different age limits for different categories then.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They might have just changed the rules for, the situation.
Yeah.
A 14-year-old Canadian, Summer McIntosh, was a swimmer. She finished the 400-meter freestyle.
Nice.
So that's just
Way to go.
Kids are more or less, kicking ass.
Yeah. So where we stand at in the Olympics right now is China, an overall medal count. China is number 1 with 18 medals. The US is number 2 with 15. Japan is number 3 with 13. But in terms of gold medals, Japan is first with 8. The US is second with 7 gold medals, and China is third with 6 gold medals.
Nice.
So that's kind of like where we stand right now. So Tokyo has a lot going on right now. So for one, it's typhoon season, so they had to get like all their swimming and rowing competitions out of the way pretty early because I think there's like a storm coming.
Yeah.
And then the second part of that is these games are a year late, right? They should have happened in 2020, and instead they had to be pushed to this year due to the pandemic. Some people in Tokyo, some are very proud to host the games. Like Budiero was telling me yesterday that it's the best of the best. Like you go and you compete, and it's the best of all sports worlds. And then you have the flip side of this, which is citizens of Tokyo, where Tokyo has like some restrictions still in place from the pandemic. They were protesting the games even occurring. So we saw that a lot in the opening ceremony. So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you think that we should have just skipped this Olympic altogether and come back in 2024? Or do you think that their current plan is they're just doing their best?
I think we could have at least held off for another a year while we get more people
But then you're in the Winter
vaccinated.
And
Olympics.
next year you have the Winter Olympics.
Well, the Winter Oh, that's true.
Every 2
It's
years.
every 2 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Well,
I think it was something that everybody kind of needed. It was at least a break from you're all gonna die from this variant today.
Yeah.
I mean, people were already protesting the Beijing Winter Olympics, so we can just host the Summer Olympics.
I'm really glad they went ahead and did it. I understand, there is the new Delta variant, but there's only so much you can do, right? COVID's going to become the new flu, and that sucks. But people have been working very hard for this for the majority of their lives. And I think if they were willing to go and compete, they should be allowed to compete. And I'm glad because we have seen so many fantastic changes. And I'm just talking about costumes, not even in the US's costumes. I haven't seen a damn thing. But I've seen one of the volleyball teams. They took the Norwegian volleyball team. They took the fine for wearing shorts for their volleyball game, which is awesome. Because why do girls have to wear their little bikini for volleyball? You know, we're finally getting to see gymnasts who have decided to leave the leotard behind in favor of a full body suit. Go, you guys. Like, I am super stoked about it. Sorry to get on my little rant box, but I had to get it in.
I love the
I'm super excited
soapbox.
about it.
Yeah.
They should totally feel. They should be free to compete in what makes them feel comfortable,
Exactly.
Yeah.
as long
That's
as
a
it's
good point.
professional.
That's a good point. You know, I feel like we probably shouldn't have done these games. And I think a lot of it is coming from, yes, pandemic, but also from a fiscal perspective. So Japan has spent millions of dollars, if not billions, on these games so far. And of course, like the vendors, tourism is gonna be suffering from, you know, not having what they should have had that they've already poured into these games. Tokyo, I believe, they have not hosted the games since the 60s, I want to say, like 64. And that was like their reemergence after the war. So I just feel like, man, like that was what, almost 60 years ago. And then this is going to be the Tokyo Olympic legacy, like the pandemic one. That kind of
See,
sucks.
I agree with you that we were robbed of the greatest uh Olympic ambassador that's ever graced the Olympics, Goku.
Yeah.
And two, if they didn't do the Olympics, then they wouldn't this at right now, I don't think they would have ever done it for Tokyo.
Yeah.
So not only would they have lost out on everything they put into it so far, but they would have had zero chance to recover any money back.
Mhm.
At least now
Point.
they're having some chance to recover a little bit. I mean, I'd rather take a 50% showing than not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it
True.
comes down to like your actual events. So there are some athletes that have tested positive for COVID and they're pretty much sidelined. Now, some events I think they can get away with, like, especially if they're asymptomatic. But, you know, can you imagine like finally getting there and then boom, you test positive for COVID? Like, that sucks. That really sucks. And then you
Yeah.
can't compete.
Did anybody? I only saw the headlines for it, so it might have been clickbait. But did anybody see the title of the woman who went to the Olympics and wasn't allowed to bring her baby? She said like she was
I heard nothing
deceived.
about
Like,
that.
okay, then never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
all
think I
the
heard
news
that.
article gave, or all the title said was, you know, woman goes to the Olympics and was basically told she couldn't bring her newborn, that she was deceived, and they got separated. Not like separated, but like, you know, she had to leave her newborn.
Yeah. Nah, I didn't hear any
Okay,
of
good
that.
to hear about it.
But I did see some of the art that Japan had done for each country, and it's actually really
Oh, the
cool.
kimonos.
Yeah.
The
Well, not just
kimonos are
the
awesome.
not just the kimonos, but the anime characters that they made for us, or for all the countries. They're pretty cool. Mexico's has an eagle.
Oh my gosh, a Paralympian couldn't compete since she couldn't bring her mom since she was her handler. She was deaf and
What?
blind.
That's
Oh,
fucked up.
wow. I feel like that is like the exception. Like, shouldn't it be?
Right.
Yeah.
It feels almost discriminatory to say, like, oh, if you need this extra person to help you, then you just can't compete.
It's very
Have they already started the
discriminatory.
Paralympics? I thought as soon as the regular Olympics ends, they start the Paralympics right afterwards.
I don't know.
I didn't know they go at the same time. That's cool.
So
Yeah, that is cool.
here's
I
a
didn't know that happened
question for you
here.
guys.
Mhm.
If you watch the Olympics, where, like, what Olympic sport do you watch or are you excited about?
Skateboarding.
So I only watch the Winter Olympics because I'm white, and I cheer on curling. I love watching curling. I watch it all day.
Not the bobsled.
Nope.
It's not
Nope.
even the Jamaican bobsled team. That's rude.
I
They
don't.
haven't been since the 80s. Sorry.
I can't say that I've ever even like sat down to watch the Olympics. Maybe opening ceremonies. I think the last opening
Yeah.
ceremonies I watched was probably Beijing because they went all out. But other than that, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's there. It's in the background. It's happening. You know.
I remember the
Yeah.
Sydney Olympics very well.
Oh my god, I think I'm with Puzzled on this one. I don't think I've ever seen like any sport in the Olympics other than the opening ceremonies. But I did catch sharpshooting and skateboarding this past weekend with Bootyro when they came over. And that was fun. Although that
Uh,
I love gymnastics. Simone Biles is a freaking hero. She's short and amazing. We love her. And ping pong. Oh my god, I love watching the ping pong because, like,
dude, it's so intense.
dude, you're an athlete. You're an athlete. Like your table's this small, your ball is this small, and it's going so fast.
Booty Euro. I actually met one of the U.S. Fencers here in San Antonio a couple of years ago. She lived here with her boyfriend, I think.
that's pretty
Wow.
cool.
I'm
Wow.
still waiting for lightsaber battling to make it in the Olympics.
Right? Like why isn't that in the
Quidditch?
Olympics yet? Or
It's finally
Quidditch.
recognized by the World Fencing Association, but not the
Yeah.
Olympics yet.
And I think that's only because of Christopher Lee. It's because he was like a trained and expert swordsman and fencist and whatever else.
Those videos that you
Yes.
guys have sent and like watching him like practice or do the in between takes of, oh my god, it is beautiful. It is
Mhm.
definitely an art form.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what's next on the Olympic list. Maybe Booty Arrow can tell us since he's all things sports. But I mean number 2 out of total medals, not bad. Number 2 in terms of gold, not bad.
Yeah.
We're just getting started too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
I
solid
mean, I
week of
think-
Olympians.
the only disappointment we've had so far is our women's soccer team. I think they're the only ones that should have medaled but haven't.
He really?
Didn't
What
they beat Mexico like 2 years ago, the women's soccer team?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but that was a total different team too.
Mhm.
Basketball dog. Yeah, basketball.
What was the event where once again, sorry, I'm world's worst. Article, the title was the one event where the US was cheering for ourselves to lose.
That was soccer.
That was soccer.
It was
Yeah.
the women's soccer team because the women's soccer team has had a lot of bad press here in the United States. So they were the ones that were suing because they said the soccer league was paying them less than the men's.
Yeah, I remember that.
But then when the lawsuit settled, it actually came out that they made a higher percentage than the men. The men just brought in more money.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense.
So then they have a bad cloud around them.
That, and they were also counting sponsorships that the individual teammates would make, and they averaged that out to all of them. But those don't really count towards getting paid by the soccer club.
The league. Yeah,
Yeah, the
it's
league,
more
yeah.
so your individual profit.
Mm-hmm.
And that just sounds kind of like really bad contract negotiations.
Yeah, it sounds like contract negotiations went bad. But I
I
remember
didn't
that.
even know about that.
But yeah. And they've been very, political. They've been a very political team,
Mm-hmm.
and just people are tired of politics right now, and they just want to see a ball go back and forth on a field.
Dude, I'm with it. I'm tired of politics too.
Yeah. Only reason that I know any of the advertisement stuff is because Philip DeFranco reported on it like a year ago. And I remember all that backlash. It like went back and forth. People didn't know where to go.
As Phil would say, don't be so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like, especially for them, right? Because men's soccer is the biggest sport worldwide.
Mhm.
The market cap is trillions. Women's soccer, the market cap is billions. So it's like, I mean,
Substantial.
no
Mhm.
sense you're gonna make less, right?
Yeah.
That's impressive though that it's in its billions.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Go
soccer is
women
still the most
players.
popular sport on earth.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. It's way more
Yeah.
popular than
But
American football.
yeah, go Swedish women's soccer. Woo.
I agree with Budiero. It is a very bad time to be a basketball fan. I don't like. I have not
Yeah.
kept up with the NBA the last 3 years. How dare you?
But like
Me?
legit, I could tell you, I stopped watching the NBA when they started putting like people's names on the back of their jerseys and all the political stuff. Same with the NFL, right?
Mm,
I'm like, I'm trying to tune out. I'm already hit with that all day long. I don't want to see political messaging in my sports, right? So I just
right.
tuned out. It's not. I'm not watching any sports this year, and it's like
Yeah. Like, dude,
I'm totally lost,
that's why I
After
play
Tim Duncan
GT.
retired, after
right?
Tim Duncan retired, I was out. I was like, that greatest of all time, right then and there. It's gone.
So who is on America's basketball team? Like, has America's basketball team ever like played against the NBA players, or is it like
They are. So
They
they're
are
the
NBA
NBA All
players.
Star team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
you have to get invited to go.
And
from
then
the-
Coach Pop is the coach of it.
Mhm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's what happened when Tim Duncan was retiring. Coach Popovich was supposed to retire with him, and Becky Hamill was supposed to take over the Spurs.
Mhm.
She
But
went
then
to Suns
yeah,
Yeah. She went to the Suns.
but then
or
he
Utah
hung,
Jazz.
then he hung around because of Kawhi Leonard, which then threw everybody's plans off. And I'm glad that she left. Like, you know, I've always been a Spurs fan, right? But I think she was better than the Spurs at the moment, the current team.
Becky Hammond? Oh my god, yeah, she's right.
Mhm.
And also Budiera is right. It isn't the All-Star team, that it's actually the US Olympic team. And so some notable people, like players that I know anyway. Kevin Durant,
Mhm.
Kevin Durant.
Oh.
I don't know any of these.
Oh, and featuring Kevin Durant.
Wow.
But yeah,
But-
there's players from NBA teams.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was watching some. They were kind of breaking it down a little bit, and it's not that our team is they're not the best this year that we've ever produced, but also because of the NBA's influence worldwide, they've actually influenced great players to be better, right? With their training schedules, their technology, the way they do everything. So
Mhm.
Yep.
the world's actually more competitive this year in basketball. But still, yeah, our team's just not there this year.
You know,
Yeah, France beat our team or Team USA team from what I saw. There's an update 12 hours ago. Team USA frustrated with offense amid France loss. So it's not going good for Team USA.